Hi there. Welcome to the From Lab to Launch podcast by Qualio, where we share inspiring stories from the people on the front lines of life sciences. Tune in and leave inspired to bring your life-saving products to the world.
Hi, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to From Lab to Launch by Qualio. I'm Meg, your host. Glad to be here and really excited about today's episode. Before we get started, we'd love it if you rated the podcast. It's easy to do and share it with any of your science nerd friends. We know you've got some. If you'd like to be on the show, please see the show notes for an application. Mark McDonough is the CEO of ChromaCode, where he and his team have created an innovative high-definition PCR platform that utilizes proprietary cloud-based signal processing to allow for enhanced multiplexing and detection of clinically relevant biomarkers. This rapid and accurate approach generates higher throughput from existing laboratory equipment for broad biomarker testing without the cost, delay, or analytical complexity of next-generation sequencing. Under the leadership of CEO Mark, ChromaCode has pivoted strongly after winning the X Prize rapid COVID testing competition in 2021 to oncology, commercially launched their non-small cell lung cancer assay, and developed partnerships with Protein Biodiagnostics and with MedGenome, the latter in an effort to bring affordable diagnostics to India and the Middle East. So let's get to it. Welcome to From Lab to Launch, Mark.
Thanks, Meg. We're happy to be here.
Great. To kick things off today, can you tell us a little bit about your background and journey that led you to leading ChromaCode today?
Sure. So I was a naval officer for 6 years after graduating from college, and went through the ROTC program at college. And then when I was 28 years old, I had an opportunity to, despite not having a terribly deep biology background, I was a finance major and college, and then a combination of navigation and some engineering on board ship. I was fortunate enough to get into a cancer diagnostic company called Ventana Medical Systems, which eventually sold to Roche for several $1 billion. And I joined that company in 1997, and really my career kind of took off from there, focusing mostly on sales and marketing roles. And did about 4+ years at Ventana. Did another 6 years at an anatomic pathology company where we focused on molecular diagnostics as well as all types of cancers, from solid tumor to hematopoietic diseases, at a company called US Labs as a central laboratory. It's now a part of LabCorp. And then the last 15 years, I've really pivoted my career solely on molecular diagnostics and mostly in smaller organizations. So ran a sales organization for a venture capital backed company out of the Bay Area for 4 years, and then joined the former CEO of US Labs, who was a mentor of mine, 2012 at a small public company. And lo and behold, a year later, he let me know that I was part of a succession plan that I didn't really know about. And I took over for him as CEO, and was quickly a CEO of a public company in 2013, and did that till we successfully sold the company in late 2017. And since then, have run 3 different private companies, one of which we were able to sell to private equity last year. And then the fourth CEO role I have is at ChromaCode, where I joined at the JP Morgan conference this past January. So I've just been in the seat about a year now. But I've been very fortunate in my career, most of it all in the healthcare space, certainly almost all of it in cancer diagnostic space, ranging from capital equipment to being a reference laboratory to software sales. So a lot of fun along the way.
Sounds like it. What is it like to step into a CEO role at a new company? What surprises you about stepping in brand new there?
Yeah, no, good question. So number one, you really want to get to know the team right away, and you want to let people know, unless you were brought in specifically with a mandate to make dramatic changes, which happens occasionally in one of my roles. Here I really wanted to come and meet the team, establish trust with them, understand what we did really, really well, ChromaCode, because we do a number of things really, really well, and then also understand where there's opportunities to improve. And so make sure I'm communicating with the board and our team. And at the same time, learning as much as you can about our customers, the technology, how we can help patients, just so, I can have more and more credibility. And ChromaCode's a really highly technical organization. And so, I'm still at the infant stages of learning all the technical nuances of what we do. And it's it's pretty interesting and complex, but what we enable our customers using our software and our proprietary chemistries, we do make things easy for our customers. So while it could be complex in the technology in some instances, what we deliver to our customer base is easy to use and easy to adopt. But yeah, that's really it. I think learning the team, understanding your board, learning your customer base, and then understanding your technology are the kind of key things for me when I joined ChromaCodes.
Terrific. Many people listening to our podcast are in leadership positions or entrepreneurs starting out. Can you give us your take on hiring today and developing a high performing team?
Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, I think, and I know my video's going in and out, sorry, but I think it's really important that you focus on just that latter part there, which is you want to get everyone to being a high performing team. So, to me, I think establishing trust with people is really important. And then um, understanding that if they have the requisite training for what you're trying to achieve, what you don't want to do is either give someone so little structure joining an organization that he or she doesn't feel like they're being adequately trained. Yet on the same time, you don't want to put so much structure in where they feel like they're being kind of suffocated. So, I think training's really important in acclimation to develop highly performing teams. And then, making sure that he or she is developing a good rapport with their manager. I think, obviously in the economy today, you want to make sure you're paying people well, have quality of life and balance. Those are all really key criteria for anyone wanting to stay at a company or to build a career. But the other thing that's also very critical that may be cliche, but it's true, is people typically leave or stay based off of their supervisor relationship. And so, if they have a good manager or they feel like leadership is looking out for them, I think they have a better chance to stay. And so that's really important. Especially when you're emerging technology like us, which there's challenges in the space and you want to retain your talent. You want to make sure people feel like, okay, these are folks that I can trust and work with.
Those are great insights. Shifting back to ChromaCode, what have been the traditional challenges with PCR testing, and how is ChromaCode with its high definition PCR platform solving those challenges today?
Yeah, I think what we've found is that by shifting towards our HDPCR, which is, building using the chemistries in our software to build applications for digital droplet PCR platforms that are, typically sold by companies such as QIAGEN or Roche or Thermo Fisher or Bio-Rad or Stilla. Uh, these these platforms provide some pretty cool quantitative benefits that genomic applications can really thrive on. And so that's why we pivoted the company into the world of genomics, as you mentioned in your preamble. We're focused on lung cancer. We're focused on acute leukemia. We're focused on early development of organ transplant rejection assay, as well as we can also build custom assays, custom tests for either academics or the dPCR platform companies. And we're doing, not announced yet, but we're doing a couple of those right now where we can build custom assays based off of what the customer wants to see with multiplexing, which is a simplistic way of saying you're looking at a number of different targets in one sample, as opposed to doing like a single gene test for EGFR, for example, for a targeted therapy. We run 15 biomarkers in our lung cancer test on just one assay with one report, so that the customer is going to get more for one draw where tissue sample might be a problem, for example. So traditional PCR has been great for the applications it's used for, and it's not going away. But we think for genomics, HD-PCR has just I won't say infinite, but a significant amount of applications that we want to be kind of first in line in terms of content creation for, and that's what we're doing now. And we're also pioneering here a little bit, so that's not always easy too. So
Interesting. That sounds like great pioneering and great leadership there in that new space. Precision medicine is highlighted as a crucial approach for improving outcomes in lung cancer. How does ChromaCode's technology contribute to advancing precision medicine, and what potential impact do you envision on the broader landscape of cancer diagnostics and treatment?
yeah, so with lung cancer, our thesis is that once you have a diagnosis of lung cancer and you're trying to figure out, okay, how do we address this in the fastest, best way possible? We've built our technology so that we can render an answer on these 15 biomarkers in less than 24 hours. So why that's practically important and how that impacts precision medicine is, in reality, if a patient their doctor knows about our technology or they run it in their lab, you run the ChromaCode test after the sample is extracted, run the ChromaCode test, and then also run in parallel a test run by a technology called immunohistochemistry for PDL1. And within 24 hours, you'll have the PDL1 expression, which is an indicator of whether immunotherapy will be patient will be a candidate for immunotherapy. And if not, they'll also have the answer to the 15 biomarkers from us as a first line. So why that's crucial is if 56% of the time it's going to be one of those biomarkers on our panel. Now the oncologist and the patient with the family can really craft a plan of a targeted therapy straight away. Without a ChromaCode, so let's do that other scenario. You can
Mhm.
still run the immunohistochemical test and figure out if you're a candidate for IO immunotherapy. But if it's negative, it's typically run by next generation sequencing through send out tests, which are very good. Don't get me wrong, but they take 2 to 3 weeks and can be quite expensive. So by running our test in house, a laboratory can deliver true precision medicine locally, much faster turnaround time, require much less patient sample, which really gives you a better chance of getting a result. And then the patient can get on the optimal therapy. And for the lab, it's an opportunity also to potentially retain revenue. So they're in the business of helping patients first and foremost, but they're also as a laboratory trying to make a profit for the hospital or the private company. And so, doing this, you can get reimbursed for the test as well. So it's going to have we think a profound impact in lung cancer because we can help people get really important treatments quicker. And then the same technology applies to other disease states where we require less tissue, it's faster, margin to the laboratory and turnaround time is better. And that's just a principle of the HD-PCR technology.
Sounds like better outcomes for patients all around. That's great.
Totally, yes.
So it seems like for ChromaCodes, partnerships are a critical piece of your go-to-market strategy. Many founders want to know how to find and develop partnership relationships. Do you have any source on sourcing these or courting partnerships within your industry?
Yeah, I mean, so for us, there's some natural choices. Right out of the gate for us, we're a software and a kit provider. So we definitely want to look to the companies that provide the capital equipment and platforms, and ask those companies if they want to partner. And so we have a formal partnership and kind of an informal partnership there, and then we have customers. This is we're in the early stages of this, and we're establishing patterns of reimbursement for this test, which we're very confident we're going to secure because of all the reasons we talked about: faster turnaround time, less tissue, quicker treatment, less cost. So there's definitely a justification for for reimbursement to be paid because it's going to save the healthcare system a lot of money and patients a lot of money in the long run. But we need in these early days partnerships like that's what we have. You mentioned Protean out of Florida. You mentioned MedGenome internationally. We need these partners to work with us as we, go to market with these tests and ensure that, private payers are paying for it and, healthcare ministries are paying for it. So, the advice I'd give is, seek out who your ideal customer would be and seek out who can also benefit when you are delivering product to market, and then, be proactive in reaching out and proposing kind of win-win opportunities for those partners. And, that's what we've been doing. And then the other thing we did is we, just hire talent. I have a very good chief commercial officer and a very good head of business development who have relationships or have built relationships with a number of people in our space. And then, so just by reaching out and having educational conversations about what we're doing, sometimes organically, something we may not have thought of as a potential partner, they may be working on something strategically and say, well, gosh, this could really fit us well. So, that's kind of the other part of it is, hiring talent who's well connected in the space because they can open up new partnerships as well.
Yeah, that's great advice for our listeners. How do you see ChromaCode and its technology advancing in the coming years in your crystal ball?
Yeah, my crystal ball, I think we're going to continue to be trailblazers in this. We're going to need open minds from, like reimbursement for people to understand how we can help because that's incredibly viable or important for our business. We'll continue to work with different partners. We're really excited that the digital PCR platform companies, and by that, again, those are kind of the capital equipment companies, they're thirsting for content to put on their digital PCR instruments so that they can help more patients. I think there's some emerging trends where, the reimbursed people want to pay, the payers want to obviously pay a little bit less than they do right now for testing, especially so more people can get it. And so we think that trend really bodes well for us that we can deliver faster, less expensive tests that, payers should also be really receptive to. And so, yeah, I think we, in an ideal world, we're an uber successful standalone company in several years, driving, up to 100 million plus in revenue. And then, there could also be a world where, our software and our kits are, another company thinks it could really help us accelerate our growth. And, they see the value in our technology and we become part of them too. So that's something I could see us adding a lot of value to. But whatever we can do to help, significant amount of patients across the world, we're really game to do.
Well, I'm game to see what you guys do in the coming years there at ChromaCode. Our final question for today is more of a fun one. We love to ask each of our guests, if we ran into you, Mark, at a bookstore or your local library, in which section would we find you?
Oh gosh, that's a good one. I think I enjoy history, so I think I'd probably be there. There first if it's a Barnes and Noble or or the biography section, just reading and learning about different interesting people along the way or history. I think that'd be something I would kind of bury myself in.
Yeah, same here. I might bump into you in a local Barnes and Noble there, Mark. Well, thank you so much for joining us on From Lab to Launch today by Qualio. Where can our listeners go to follow along and connect with you?
Yeah, definitely just check out our website because we've got a lot of really cool things of what we're doing at ChromaCode and how we are working hard to make a societal impact. So www.chromacode.com. Otherwise my LinkedIn profile, but I'm fairly boring in that regard. So I don't have a ton of handles and stuff. So, but thanks for the time today.
Thank you so much for joining us. We'll post all of that in the show notes. It was a pleasure, Mark. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of From Lab to Launch, brought to you by Qualio. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe and give the show a positive review. It really helps us out. For more information about Qualio, our guest today, or to be a guest on a future episode, please refer to the show notes. Until next time.